your filthy hands out of Atlantic City. Keep the hell out of our state.
The New Jersey governor's stern public warning, of course, amounted to little more than whistling in a graveyard. Out with the old, in with the new. Gambling had come to Atlantic City's boardwalk in a big way in 1977. And America's mafia viewed it as another golden goose, ready to be plucked. But who would do the plucking? New York's five families? Meyer Lansky and his Miami associates? What about the Chicago boys and their allies? By 1977, an aging Meyer Lansky had pretty much retired from active gangsterism. And Chicago's Tony Big Tuna Accardo saw a chance for peaceful accommodation. According to law enforcement officials, Accardo went to the New York mobs with a deal. They could have Atlantic City. Chicago would stay out. If in return, Chicago would be given preferential rights to Las Vegas. That treaty of 1977 made Las Vegas essentially a province of the Chicago Syndicate. The man in charge, Chicago's provincial governor, tough Tony Spelatro, a cold-eyed hitman and enforcer for the Chicago mob.
And so Tony Spelatro became a very feared individual in this area, who traded on his reputation. And the very name Tony Spelatro would instill and inspire fear in many people.
Spelatro and his henchmen had two primary responsibilities in Las Vegas. First, to maintain order on the streets, arbitrate disputes, and watch out for the Chicago mob's interests generally. Second, and more important, to provide the muscle necessary to keep the skim money flowing from casinos controlled by the Chicago Syndicate, the Stardust, Fremont, Marina, and Hacienda, all ostensibly owned by the Chicago mob's frontman in Las Vegas, Allen R. Glick. Glick acquired his casino holdings with the help of $67 million in loans from the Teamsters in 1973. His umbrella company in Las Vegas was called Argent Corporation.
It shows in a very simple way that there's no such thing as a free lunch. When Allen Glick got his $67 million pension fund loan from Central States, there were strings attached. He may not have realized until years later that there were strings attached, but it is obvious now with the benefit of hindsight that there were.
But at the time and throughout the 1970s, Teamsters loans were viewed as the milk of economic development in Nevada. So officials, like then Gaming Commission Chairman Harry Reid, were often quick to defend the Teamsters loans to Las Vegas, acknowledging that the $67 million to Glick looked a little fishy.
I mean, it's the man came to Las Vegas, borrowed 60-some-odd million dollars from the pension fund, put 31 million of it in improvements in the Stardust Hotel. Money went into the Fremont down at Echo Bay. Those are concerns that we have, how somebody could get that kind of money. But if you look at the loans that the pension fund made all across the country, a lot of them don't make a good sense. We do know that the loans they made in the state of Nevada, without exception, are the best loans that they've made any place in the country. So how he got the loans, sure, that's an interesting question, and I don't know if there'll ever be an answer to it.
Bob Stoldal and Ned Day continued working on this production right up to the last minute, and were still tinkering on it the night it was set to air. They tried to include several subtleties and double meanings in the editing, inside jokes that they and few others might appreciate. Notice in the upcoming segment the lyrics as Frank Sinatra leaves the set of the Frank Rosenthal Show.
For the Chicago mob's Las Vegas operation, it was a raucous and very profitable party. Glick operated as the legitimate frontman, being hailed by Las Vegas civic leaders as the boy wonder of gaming. Frank Lefty Rosenthal, a former bookmaker and basketball fixer, appeared to the public as Glick's second-in-command.
I serve at Mr. Glick's pleasure.
And could you describe Mr. Glick's pleasure?
You don't have enough time.
That's a good answer. We don't have enough time for that.
We see you growing more with the with Argent Corporation, taking a higher position possibly.
That's a question for Mr. Glick.
Mr. Rosenthal's in as high a position as you can have now.
In more ways than one, Rosenthal reported not to Glick, but directly to the Chicago mob bosses who were Glick's silent partners.
Whereas Anthony Spelatro was the mob's man outside the casino. Frank Rosenthal was the mob's man inside the casino. And I think that there is reason to believe that he was the financial wizard behind creating many of the more sophisticated schemes by which monies could be skimmed from the casino.
I think